Hi everyone, in today's video I am going to show you how to paint primrose. Primrose is one of the birth month flowers for February, and I can't wait to show you how easy it is to paint this beautiful flower. So first I'm going to be using my size 10 and my size 4 round brush. I'm using Arches 140 pound cold press watercolor paper and my limited palette of colors that is cad yellow, quin magenta, cerulean, indigo, and sap green. Primrose is such a beautiful flower with heart-shaped petals, and they usually have quite a few different colors in it. Today we're going to paint a pink variety with a yellow center, but you can look up lots of different reference photos to find different colors that you might want to paint. I'm using my size 10 round brush with a light wash of magenta, and I'm going to just paint a heart. This is the first petal. Now, I don't want it to be too watery or too dark because we want to keep a light value, but I am going to dip right into yellow and create the tip of the petal or the bottom of the heart with yellow. I can even tap my brush and help blend those colors together, but mostly I really want these values to stay in the lighter side because we can add our darker values of color and layer more colors on later after it's dry. For that first petal, it's the most seen front-facing petal, but as we paint these petals on the side, you'll see how I've got one side of that heart shape a lot smaller, and then the side of the petal that's closest to us is a little bit bigger. This is going to make it seem like these petals are angled because part of the petal is going to look farther away from us because it's smaller. For both of these side petals, I'm doing the same technique of a light wash of magenta and then adding the bright pop of yellow. I am just making sure there is some white space between all of these petals, and I'm leaving white space in the center so that we can add a center later without there being too much color in the middle. Now I'm switching to the smaller size 4 round brush, and I do that a lot in this painting because I need the bigger round brush for the shape of the petals, but I need the smaller round brush for the details. I could use the bigger round brush for some of the details because it has a fine tip, but here I'm trying to add a really thick detail with lots of magenta, and I don't want there to be too much water in my brush. So even though the size 10 has a fine point, it holds too much water, and I don't want it to be a really watery, washy detail that blends into the flower. I want this line of magenta to barely blend out and for there to be a really distinct layer between the light pink magenta, the yellow, and then this dark pink stripe that I'm seeing in the primrose pictures. Now this main flower that we're painting, that's definitely more open, we can see the center. We actually don't want all of the petals perfectly painted like that very top petal because then it's going to look almost like it's flattened, like it's a pressed flower, and we want it to look like in the reference pictures where it's a little bit more closed off. So we started to create that illusion by having some of those petals different shaped on the sides, but these petals that are on the bottom, they can still be heart shaped, but not only will the side petals be a little bit flatter on the sides of the petals that are away from us, but also the entire petal is just going to be a little bit more squat. So think about a heart shape that's actually squished. And if you want to practice painting petals like that, you can use a scratch piece of paper before you go into the main painting. But you can see that because of the way I've manipulated some of the shapes, it looks like this petal is not just open, but actually it's a little bit fluid and maybe tucked into some greenery. It has some shape, like it's pointed slightly upward. So that's the entire idea of painting a flower that's a pretty stagnant subject, but actually giving it motion by changing very slight details in the petal. So again, we're painting those the same way, the light magenta, the pop of yellow, that deep magenta line, and now once all of the yellow has completely dried, we can add some sap green into our yellow mixture to create these bright green centers. It's kind of like a star shape. I just did a quick shape that kind of touched each petal, kept it really simple. I looked at a lot of reference photos for primrose, and they seem to be very tucked in together in this bushy shape with lots of leaves underneath. So now that we've got our main flower, the two flowers on the side are going to be tucked around it, and then we're going to create some petal shapes in the back. So I'm creating these heart-shaped petals. There's two of them, one that's kind of in the back, one that's to the side, following those same rules that we talked about. And then I did a quick line of an idea of a petal in the front, and this petal's kind of blocking some of the center, so we're not going to add any yellow to the bottom of it because we're not really seeing the inside as much. We're just seeing the edge of the petal. And then I'm doing the one on the right side a little bit more open, turned out, so the petals are bigger on this outside, adding yellow to the centers. So just keeping it really simple. Now that we've got that main flower in the front, we can be a little bit more fluid with all the other flowers, so this doesn't become a super detailed painting and it feels a little bit more loose. As everything starts to dry, we add that deep line of magenta to get such a stark deep line without it blending too much into the petals. I have removed a lot of the water from my brush by using my paper towel to tap that color and water out. Now I'm back to my size 10 brush, and we are just creating those heart shapes, those big round fluffy petals in the back. We want it to look like there's another flower tucked in, so we can create some petals that are kind of together. And if you leave a little bit of white space between some of the petals in the back and some of the petals in the front, it looks like those petals belong together in one flower. So just remember to keep the illusion of this bunch of flowers together. We are not going to be able to see the yellow or the dark magenta on any of these petals because we can't see the centers. So we're just focusing on creating heart-shaped petal clumps and groups so that it looks like a flower here, there's a flower over here, and then once we create these petals that are going along the top, we can add a petal or two on the bottom to continue to create the idea of fullness, because those first three flowers that we painted kind of left it a little bit flat. So when we add a couple of petals along the bottom, we get the general idea of fullness and roundness, and that's the feeling that I got every time I looked at a reference picture. So I say this all the time, don't be married to your reference picture, have fun, but use your reference picture to know what is possible and what primrose flowers typically look like. Now, even though we can't see the centers of these back flowers, that doesn't mean we're not going to find interesting ways to help define what this big mass of pink is in the back. So I picked up some more magenta in a slightly darker pigment than the original petal color, and I am just placing that at the bottom of each of these petals. And not only does this give us a lot of contrast between the two colors, which is visually very interesting, but it's also helping us to define where each petal is, so you can start to tell that it's a flower with individual petals, and again, not just a mass of pink. Before we move on to more petal details, I'm going to add that same sap green yellow mixture to the center of both of those side flowers. Again, it's kind of a little bit of a star shape, but we want to keep some of the white space in the middle and not just completely fill it in. Primrose also have this really light line detail in the center of the flower, so with a very light touch and some of that darker pink, I'm just doing some very light lines. I don't want them to be too dark or too thick because they're really not the focus, but I like the extra detail that it adds into the petals without it being overwhelming. I feel like the center of the flowers with the yellow and the green is really the star of the show, but I just added a quick tiny little line detail, which I think brings a lot more interest into the petals that can be a little bit flat. Then to just increase the interest within the flower, I picked up some yellow, added it to my magenta to get a reddish orange color, and then just lightly tap that around the center to give some more depth to that yellow color that we have in the middle of our flower. Now you're probably sick of me saying this, but I love having light, medium, and dark values within the objects that I'm painting. And so these background petals, I thought it would be really great to mix up a deep purple and put that at the very bottom of these petals. And it kind of ends up looking like a shadow color. So using some of our blues and magenta, we can create this deep purple to create so much contrast and interest. So we have the lightness in the petal, then more of a medium value in that second layer of magenta, and then a deep dark purpley color brings in the shadow and makes everything so much more interesting. So I'm placing it at the bottom of the petals, but also a tiny bit around the center in that deep magenta line, just to have more contrast there as well. Now we get to paint the leaves, and we're definitely bringing back the size 10 brush for these leaves. I am mixing my yellow with some sap green, and I already had some deep indigo blue and then the purple kind of mixed in together. So I thought it was just a really great mixture to get this deep, really rich green color that's almost got a black hue to it, because we've mixed so many of our primary colors together in with the sap green, and I thought it was the perfect color mixture for what I'm seeing in the reference photos as well. Now, I talked recently in one of my YouTube videos about finger placement on the brush. When we are farther away from the bristles, like you see me here, I'm away from the metal part, which is the ferrule. When I have my fingers placed this far back, I have a little bit more of a loose control on my bristles. So it's a great way to paint these leaves because they're a little bit jagged, and you can use a little bit more of a loose stroke with the tip of your brush to create this really organic feeling leaf. I'm just tucking these leaves right underneath the petals, and before they dry, I am using the other end of my brush to very lightly scrape in the veins of the leaf. So what this does is you push down onto your paper with the other end of your brush or any kind of hard object, and it creates an indent in the paper for the paint to flow into, creating a darker line. I feel like this creates more organic lines and shapes within the leaf, so I don't have to paint them. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit of indigo and put that into my green mixture and put that on the base of my leaves closer to the flower bunches. And I feel like this creates a perfect natural shadow, especially if you place it in before the leaves are dry. I think one of my favorite parts about adding loose greenery is the idea of implied lines and implied shapes. So just the fact that you're painting flowers and you have something green usually indicates to our brain that it's a leaf. So as long as we have a slight separation between the leaves by leaving a tiny bit of white space, we can almost create any shape in this green color, and our brain tells us it's a leaf. So definitely have fun with it. Use the leaves to create the overall shape and the motion and the feeling of the piece. But really, this leaf is a supporting character to these big, beautiful, bright, and interesting flowers. So we're keeping them really dark. We don't need a whole lot of light, medium, and dark values within the leaf. Just that base deep green color with a slight shadow in the indigo is a perfect way to finish off this painting. And you can see that some of my tiny little leaves that I've tucked in there to help finish off the shape aren't really connected to anything. They're just kind of hanging in midair, but they look so good. I love that look. To completely finish it, this is our last paint stroke. I'm just adding some of this dark green around the center, just a tiny little stroke, and that just gives us a little bit of depth. It makes the centers look like they go deep into the flower. Now we are going to write February and primrose. You don't have to write February, especially if you're not learning this flower in February, but this is a February birth month flower, and I had so much fun painting it with you. Thank you so much for being here today while we painted the beautiful primrose. I've actually never painted a primrose in a tutorial before, and I really enjoyed learning more about this flower and painting it for you. I hope you learned a lot, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.